Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling with Platinum versus AEW Dark from the August 4th, 2020 edition. It was a much more manageable show in terms of it only being 7 matches instead of 12 and some of the crazy numbers they've been doing lately. There were also, I guess, 2 or 3 matches that you could deem competitive, which was nice to see. We open with, it's AEW Dark episode number 45, by the way. We got Taz and Tony. So Excalibur not present for this as well. We get an advertisement for the de facto main event of AEW Dark, Butcher and Blade against Private Party. People have commented to me, like, why do I always call it the de facto main event of AEW Dark? And the reason is because they're mostly foregone conclusion matches. Even the competitive matches, you can usually tell who's going to win. And it just feels that way. So I'll call it de facto if I think I can guess who's going to win based on standing in the company and things like that. So I'll go ahead and put that prediction out here. I circled Butcher and Blade. Butcher and Blade are going to beat Private Party. So hopefully my hopes for that match is that Private Party can continue. They tended before to be just incredibly sloppy and just things just did not look good. But in the last month, they've steadily improved, and I've noted that. I'm hoping they have a good match against Butcher and Blade. There are things about that matchup that make me feel kind of wonky about it. I don't think Butcher and Blade are the kind of guys that are going to like. It just doesn't seem right if Butcher and Blade just have to kind of go along. It seems like Private Party's offense really doesn't work unless you are really going out of your way to sort of memorize these choreographed moves. It's just, I don't know. There's something about the Private Party thing that doesn't tend to work for me, though it has gotten better, and I hope it goes well with Butcher and Blade. But I really don't have my hopes up. Just being honest. Match number 1, Will Hobbs against Scorpio Sky. I saw people complaining that Will Hobbs should be utilized more. I'm not so sure about that. And I think Scorpio Sky, as he tends to do, does a great job with the enhancement guys. Letting Will Hobbs come out hot with a series of avalanches right off the top looked really great. My only problem is, and it's plagued wrestling for decades, which is the ridiculousness of I jump the guy before the bell, the referee admonishes me, but then immediately calls for the opening bell, thus rewarding me for jumping the guy early. It's ludicrous. And again, AEW has to do work helping their referees out and giving them credibility, and they just seem steadfastly refusing to do it. Why not do something that really doesn't require taking away from your product and can just enhance the overall presentation and make it look better and make you look like you know what you're doing more? I don't get the making the referees look stupid thing. It happened at least 3 or 4 times tonight in different matches. It's something that just needs to be fixed, and they need an adult in the room to just help fix this stuff. It's terrible. Scorpio Sky looks really great in his selling. Makes Will Hobbs look great before jumping on the win, showing his really his power level is really high and underestimated. He gets Will Hobbs up for that TKO, which Scorpio Sky, again, I don't know if that's the right move for him, for his finisher, but he's making it work just by sheer force of will. And I really got to give my hats off to Scorpio Sky. And then something happens, which is, again, one of the things I love about AEW Dark, is they still surprise. And him sitting down and cutting that promo was really great. And it was the gist of the promo was really great, right? Which is like, people call me the king of AEW Dark. I'm not trying to take away from the show, but, this is not my ceiling. And you know who's got pinfall wins over Chris Jericho? Well, it's Moxley and it's me. And again, it shows the power of a promo. I think Scorpio Sky was good guy to get this promo because it was unexpected, and he did himself a lot of favors. This match checks off all 3. Scorpio Sky obviously got the win. He was made to look really, really great, and he managed to give Will Hobbs more than other people have who have given him more offense, but he made Will Hobbs look like much more of a threat. So all three checked off there. Match number 2, the Gun Club, Billy and son Austin against Aaron Solo and Serpentico. I'm not the biggest fan of Aaron. I think at times this thing looks really sloppy. He has never looked better on AEW Dark than here, which is a testament in large part to Serpentico, who was determined to sort of take heat and make him look good and then take the fall. The main quibble I had with this match was Austin's finisher of that hip toss into a neck breaker does not look like a finisher, though the way he pinned him absolutely did. He stacked him up. It looked really good. Nice basic thing that a lot of people miss out on. And so that part looked good. I think this match checked all three. It's the best Aaron Solo has looked. Often his offense looks pretty good, and it did here too. But he was there for the spots. He was there for the selling. He didn't take away from the presentation. He realized the point was the gun club's got to look good. Serpentico took the fall and did the lion's share of the work, and is always just a consummate pro. Big fan of Serpentico and John Cruz. So all three checked off here. And we go into one of the matches that feels a little more competitive, the Initiative, right? Cutler and Avalon with Leva Bates at ringside. They find a way to get Leva involved, but not in a highly physical way. I thought that was clever. Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. Janela attacking so aggressively in the beginning is one of those things that's really great because it sort of defines who he is. And they're putting Sonny Kiss in the role to look like more of the star, which I think is the right move as well. The Joey Janela spot, the stuff that did look awkward, and it really did take away from this match. Both of these teams just did not click together, and that happens, right? And it wasn't for lack of effort or lack of trying. It just didn't work. Joey Janela trying to do that spot where both of the Initiative were doubled over and he walked across their backs. That was a huge fail. I'm surprised they let that go in editing to the final cut. I'm really surprised at that. Maybe they think putting in stuff that botches looks better because it makes it look more real or something, or maybe it's just a matter of it's just too hard to edit that stuff out. It's too time consuming, whatever it is. I gotta say there are decisions being made that I just don't think, I mean, there was no putting that thing of Joey Janela walking across their backs after that long of a setup and botching didn't do anybody any favors. And the small stuff that was done that was wrong for the sake of moving forward in the match, like why would you try to whip Joey Janela into his own corner where he could tag Sonny Kiss or vice versa? These kind of things need to be addressed. It's just small stuff that makes them look more Bush League, and it makes it look very indie and indie-tastic. And it doesn't do you any favors. And it shows a lack, it's symptomatic of a problem. It's not a huge problem in and of itself, so people might think it doesn't matter. These things fucking matter. They need to get that stuff together. Sometimes chemistry doesn't work, and this match did not have a good chemistry between the people in the match. Okay, that happens. And like I said, it wasn't for lack of trying, but in editing, not editing out obvious botches that make everybody look bad, and doing little things in the match that make no sense. When with just a little bit of effort and care, you can make this stuff look fine. And you can get to where you want to go without doing stuff that doesn't make any sense. It's just a bad habit to get into. So for that reason, Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela got the pin with a rather devastating looking finisher. Okay. But they were not made to look good. Those botches by Janela just looked really sloppy and threw off everybody's rhythm in the match. And then the Initiative, for the first time in a long time, just really didn't come across well because the whole thing was so wonky. So yeah, only one check out of 3. I thought we were going to have a night where maybe we were going to have 3 checks across the board, and I was excited. And this match, I was not expecting to botch that, but it most certainly did. Then we had Abaddon against Kylan King. again, some of these things might seem really superficial and people might get upset about them, but I'm just going to call it as I see it. Kylan King has gotten her look together. The makeup and everything else, she looked phenomenal. She looks like a star. And that's a transition that's happened since she's been doing these AEW Dark matches. And she should be very proud of herself. She looks the part. She looks great. She's a lot taller than Abaddon. Now, Abaddon, in her match last time, I thought did not look great. I think that match only got a 1 check out of 3. Because she was doing the Widow's Peak, which looked just a terrible move for her, especially against a much taller opponent. Kylan King's a lot taller than her, so we'll see if they can get it together. And lo and behold, they do. And Abaddon ditches that Widow's Peak thing and does instead the Hurricane Rana driver thing, which Kylan King makes look like $1 million. Kylan King had credible offense against Abaddon without making Abaddon look bad, which is what I thought happened last time. Obviously, Abaddon is someone they believe in and someone they're going to build up. So it behooves them to make sure she's taken care of. And Kylan King did the absolute best job she could with that. I thought it was very effective and it worked very, very well. So I would give this match all 3 check marks. Abaddon got the win. Abaddon was made to look strong even in a competitive match, and Kylan King ended up coming out of this thing smelling like a rose as well, even in defeat. And I would suspect that this is a tribute to Kylan King and her ability to really put together and make sure Abaddon looked great. So kudos to her. Those kind of people in wrestling are incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. You know, it seems like when I look at the comments on these AEW Dark things, people are always like, they should sign, and they just want them to sign everybody. I'm more reticent about that because I'm like, where can they put all these people? But Kylan King is somebody they should have on their semi-permanent list to constantly bring back, at least for AEW Dark, in the same way they do with John Cruz and Serpentico. I just think they serve a very important role. And I get wanting new faces and cycling through, but boy, I'm really impressed with Kylan King, and have been since the first time I saw her wrestle for an indie here in Florida. Number 5, we got Jack Evans. Interesting, with Angelico. I don't know. They kept saying his name in this very authentic way, and I fear that I botched it. Who are a tag team, who we have not seen in a long time, and QT Marshall, who we haven't seen in a while either, with Allie. QT Marshall, I got to say right off the jump, looks great. He used his time wisely, and he looks very good. It's a noticeable difference physically. Kudos to him for making the best use of his time. Jack Evans, of course, the epitome of an indie darling for many, many years. And I think he was the first guy to pull off a 630 rotation move, if I remember that right. Just really impressive physical specimen. I kind of lump him in with guys like, the Human Tornado and stuff. Guys that just did these off-the-wall physical stunts in wrestling that were incredibly acrobatic and breathtaking. So I'm interested in this match. This is another one that I consider pretty competitive. In fact, I can't call it, though my guess would be Jack Evans is winning, but we shall see. Things that I really liked, and again, it just shows a sort of level of professionalism. So Jack Evans kind of botched a springboard move where he sort of crashed and burned without getting near QT, and QT immediately covered it. Consummate pro, just goes over there, picks him up, hoists him up, hits him with a move. The finish was a little bit of a surprise. Allie made to look a little dumb here, but it is what it is, where she comes in the ring, takes the referee, and then QT gets hit by a kick by Angelico. Oh my God, sorry. Jack Evans hits him with a backslide, which wouldn't have, and I was like, oh, that's the pin. But then he turned that backslide and then he did this crazy flip over bridge thing with it that looked really great. Again, small touch stuff, really looks good. And he gets the win over QT Marshall. And then they go to beat him down, and then Dustin arrives. If this is setting up a tag match between Jack Evans and his partner against QT and Dustin, I am all for it, and it's a great use of AEW Dark. This match obviously checks all 3. Jack Evans got the win. Jack Evans was made to look good by QT, and then QT made himself look good basically by covering everything successfully the way he did. Sometimes stuff with Jack Evans, I imagine, can get wonky, but QT covered all of it. And he came in looking in better shape than he did before. That just kudos all around. Match number 6, Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison against FTR. Notes that I have for this one. Pillman's selling is great, and it's above and beyond what everybody else is doing on Dark, and it needs to be noted. At one point, he got kicked in the stomach, I believe by Cash Wheeler, and he sold it so well that I think he fooled everybody, and maybe he really did get hit, but there was something about the way that he sold it and turned away, and it just looked really great. And Pillman manages to do something every time like that, where his selling is just above and beyond, and he does that job where it's like, obviously he's here to put guys over. That's how he's going to be used. People can complain about it. People can whatever. That's what he's here to do. So he does it at a level above everybody else. I would say Pillman, out of everybody on this show, and Kylan King did the best job as far as enhancement role this week. Pillman's selling is really great. I liked that they also found a way to counter the sort of double team gourd buster, but Griff Garrison really putting over that Goodnight Express move. Boy, that was the highlight. Is probably the best looking finish of almost everybody because of the way Griff Garrison really got up and FTR made that thing work. So all three are checked off here. FTR obviously gets the win. They look good doing their style, and then Pillman and Griff Garrison really did their job incredibly effectively and made FTR look phenomenal and sold really well. So kudos to both of those guys as well. And finally our de facto main event, Butcher and Blade versus Private Party. I said that I was concerned that this match, though Private Party has been doing better and better and better, there was no Matt Hardy there with them, by the way, for this, which was notable and kind of weird, but maybe just logistically they couldn't do it. But that Private Party used to be incredibly sloppy, and I used to in fact, it just distracted me when they would be in a match. I was like, oh my God, what's going to fall apart in this time? And I was hoping that wouldn't happen. I just had the feeling that Butcher and Blade and them would not have the best chemistry, and they most certainly did not. There's just sloppy stuff all over the place. You could actually almost read the frustration on everybody's face, how this match fell apart on them. And maybe some people didn't notice, but I most certainly did. Oh, God. I mean, it fell apart. And so sloppy stuff happened. Butcher and Blade won. Even their finisher just looked like it just didn't hit. The timing was off, and both of them pinning people in the same time. So this is the third instance of referees made to look dumb. We have the referee who started the match after Will Hobbs jumped Scorpio Sky before the bell, immediately starting the match, which makes no sense. Then we had one match where both guys pinned the person at the same time. And now in this match, Butcher and Blade are pinning the guy, basically double team pinning somebody. Is that a thing that you can do? Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, and it's not necessary, so why are we doing it? And if you can double team pin, then why isn't everybody doing it all the time? Stupid. Come on, AEW. This is the first episode of Dark where I think the cons outweighed the pros, and it hasn't been that way in a long time. So it's very disappointing. Two big notes. AEW has to tighten up on the making referees look dumb thing. They have to stop doing it. And guys just have to slow down, make things effective, and quit botching spots. It's such a bad look. And that should not be my takeaway from AEW Dark ever, but it's certainly my takeaway this week. This has been Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, for Platinum versus AEW Dark, August 4th, 2020.